Hello, everyone. Just
Hi.
setting up. Can you
Sorry?
hear me?
Yes, I
Oh,
can
I
hear.
said, oh, okay. So I'm at the factory and I'm just setting up.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
but good to see you
Good.
and good to see you all.
Okay. All right, ladies. Okay, so I guess a number of people are signing in just now, but we'll start either ways. So yes, finally we have come to the end of the journey. I mean, it feels so I have to pinch myself many times to believe that this journey that started about, I mean, a few weeks, I mean, feels like yesterday really that we started this journey, but it has been a worthwhile experience. We have been pleased with the transition that we are seeing in some of the businesses that are part of the PWN community. We are pleased about the knowledge that has been shared. The master classes have been awesome. The mentor me sessions have been out of this world. Yeah. The assignments, I've looked at some of the assignments and wow, amazing ideas, amazing transformations. Well done, ladies. And to believe that all of this was done at a time when the whole world was in a pandemic, at a time when there was a lot of uncertainty, at a time where as ladies, we had to deal with so much. I mean, beyond just the usual day-to-day life that we're used to. We had to deal with taking care of our families, taking care of ourselves, trying to transition and navigate through the changes that have happened for us as individuals and for us as businesses. It's not been easy, but guess what? We've survived. I mean, we have 85 out of 130 people graduating today, and for me, I just believe that is wonderful. It it speaks to your tenacity. It speaks to, I mean, there's some ladies that sometimes their coaches will call me and say, this lady is going through so much, but despite it all, she's giving her all to this program. So well done, ladies. I'll say well done. I mean, you all deserve a standing ovation. I wish I could stand up. I mean, but the camera will not catch my face. Well done, ladies. And but that's a story of life, and that's why I've brought some wonderful, inspiring ladies, and the three of them that I've invited as panelists. I know I've sent you their profile, so you know about their profile as you should. But I'd like to talk about each and every one of them, in a way that is personal to me, so that you'll understand why this was of all the wonderful entrepreneurs that we had in this world, I had to select these three. And I'll start with Shil. Yeah. I mean, I never met Shil. I didn't meet her until last year. And even last year when she met, I'm not sure she could put, a name, but I had purchased the products from her many years ago when I had my second born. She had this recipe book for children, and I saw it online, and I just thought it was fantastic. And that recipe book, believe me, it changed my children's nutrition. My second born, my third born. I mean, I'm a very picky eater, so somehow my children have also picked that up, I mean, but that has been wonderful. The fact that it gave me so many options to try, and they were actually good for my children. I mean, so so I've been a fan of hers, for many years now. And so it was a privilege when I met her in, last year. And I mean, and I've seen her journey, like everyone, every entrepreneur that has come, they've all told you that it is a journey. Yeah. It's not, there's no overnight success. A lot of people will see baby drops today and say, oh, she's an overnight success. Hell no. She's paid her dues. She's, so she'll come and share her story, from that perspective. Next is, who should I go? Let me go for Simpson next. Yeah. Tuboso is a wonderful person. I didn't even know she was a Harvard graduate until maybe like last week when I was checking her up on LinkedIn. And I no wonder, because Tuboso has been a greatest support for Paywen. She's one of those few people that I'll call and say, oh, babes, I want to pick your brain for a few minutes. And before I even finish typing it, she's calling me back. Oh yeah, what's happening? She's been so supportive. I mean, thank God for the way the brain is, because for the number of times I've called to pick at brain, if it was a finite resource, I'm not sure there'll be anything left. And she runs, despite the fact that she works as a geologist with Shell Nigeria, she also runs a full-fledged business in the skincare. She has a factory, she has, I don't know how she does it, but ladies would ask her how she does it. She's just wonderful. And I'd introduced, she's part of the think tank, for Paywen. Anytime I have an idea, she's one of the few people that I just would always run it through. She's one of the few people that will call me and say, "Ah, how far? What's going on? How's it going?" In her words. And then last but not the least is my sister, Muji. Muji is one of those people that I think she's also as amazed as I am when we look at the parent journey, because we just started like play. Moji was it was me, Moji, and for you ladies who know Coach Junior and one other lady, it was like play that we're just talking about parent, talking about how we could do it. And then, every time she say, she like play, you have done this thing, It's been a massive support. And she's one lady that inspires me. I don't know why she doesn't believe it, but she inspires me so much. She owns pot chocolates and she owns Moji Magic. And she's got so much, that we as women, we could learn from. So ladies, this is enough talking. Yeah. Let's get into it. So I'll start with let me start with Sharon. Yeah. So tell us, who is Sharon? Can we get to meet you? Yes, I've told them how, my perception of you, but in your own words, can you tell us, who is Sharon Shongoleye?
Thank you so much, Shay, and I'm really honored to be here. And your powerful resumes are amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of my story. And it was interesting to hear from you how the book that I've belittled has done so much for you. Thanks for sharing. I think I don't know who am I as if I'm just your next door kind of girl, but I would say I'm resilient and I love helping, and that is why I started Baby Grubs. I I like to support, so which is one of the reasons why you asking me to be here today was such a thrill for me. I believe in paying it forward, empowering other women. That's just the summary of who I am. I'm very big about family, about relationships, about friendships, and I'm just your next door neighbor, like I said.
Thank you, Sharon. So we'll go
Thank
on
you.
to you next, Tubosun. Who is Tubosun Afolayan? You're, you're on mute. Let me unmute you. Can you unmute
Okay.
yourself? Okay.
Yes, I'm on mute now, and
Okay.
I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, we can.
All right, great. So congratulations to the batch. This is cohort one, right? Of
Yes.
Powen. Amazing. Shay, well done with all that you do. I'm super proud to be a part of this, and thank you for having me on this platform. Um, Something you didn't know is when you made the call out for the mentor, I was like, oh my goodness, I really want to do this. But when I looked at my calendar, I said, let me respect myself so that I can, give you 100%. So when you came in and said, let's do this, I was like, oh God, sometimes we feel like we want to be a part of something, and inherently our spirit just speaks to each other. So thank you for inviting me. Tubosun Afolayan is, I like to introduce myself in in a God perspective. I think I'm a very strong child of God. I'm a big believer in faith. That's it from my perspective, and I know that it shows in my person. Like if you see most people and you have feedback about me, they say I'm a strong person. So it's the same way I'm strong in God that I'm strong to people. So that's how I like to introduce myself. Professionally, I'm an earth scientist, and I do it both as a profession and as a vocation. Uh, I work as a production geologist for the Shell company, and I also run a skincare company called Same Skin Solution that is solely based on using earth material sourced from Africa region. Um, so that's it, I guess. Yeah,
And she likes to
that's
have
it about
fun.
me. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a play hard, work hard kind of girl. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Darling Moji. Oh, yeah. Tell us about yourself. Who is Moji Aino?
Okay. First of all, Shay, thank you again for having me. Sheung and Tuboso are two people I admire. In fact, I sent Tuboso a message this afternoon. I said, Tuboso, I have to speak to you. So, Tuboso, I'm still coming for you. But thank you, Shay, for having me. So, who is Moji Aino? Oh, and congratulations to all the people graduating today. I've gone on a similar journey, and I know that it takes resilience to, to keep up with all the work and all the things that you get thrown at you. But if you put in the work, you reap the benefits. That's the way it is. I'm Moji Aino. I'm married. I have two kids, twins, babies. Are they babies? They're four. So I don't know if they're still babies, but they're my babies. They're still my babies. I have a degree in actuarial science. I finished from Unilag. I studied actuarial science. And then I went on to work a bit and then did the postgrad diploma in operational research. And I don't know if all that DYDX is helping me in my chocolate making, but I'm a chocolate maker. And I also have another confectionery company called Moji Magic.
Thank you, Moji. And I just forgot to mention that today is Children's Day. Happy Children's Day to every one of us. I don't know about you, I'm still a child at heart.
I'm someone's child, so yes.
I'm someone's child. So happy Children's Day to you all, ladies. Okay, so next we'll go on to Sean. Tell us about your journey. And we want you to start from, at what point did you decide that you wanted to go into this line of into being an entrepreneur? Okay, what has your journey been like? Over the years. When did you start? I know for you, you started as more like a social enterprise, and now is transitioning into like a full-fledged company. So tell us about that journey, and please give us the high inflection points for you, so that because the whole
Hmm.
essence is for our participants to learn from
Hmm.
the journey, because they are also about starting that journey. Some of them have started, but so let's learn from you, Sharon.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to say that I'm a very practical person. I'm very real. So you won't be hearing a lot of textbooky stuff. So Baby Girl started in 2012 when I had my son. And of course, to be honest, I didn't know what to feed him at that point. I had no idea what they feed children. I just got pregnant and had my son. And I called my mother-in-law. She wasn't sure what I needed to feed him. My mom too was like, hey, it's been years. I don't know what we're supposed to do at what time. And it was 3 months then. It was almost 3 months. I was going back to work. And I bought several tins of milk and he wasn't taking it. So I wasn't sure if it was time for Ogi, which was the usual thing that we feed children. And to be honest, there were several factors that contributed to me going into entrepreneurship. Number one was my son. At that point in time, I don't know if it was postpartum depression or something. I think that's the word, but I can't self-diagnose. But then I had this mom guilt when I went back to work and it wasn't really eating. And my work was really stressful. And at that point in time, there were so many things that were moving in my life. I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue working or if I wanted to be a full-time mom. It was just a confusing period. But I had a friend, he was my business partner in school, and then he kept asking me if I didn't want to continue business. Our first business died a natural death. But then he brought a newspaper printout to me, which was an entrepreneurship training done by CBN. It was sponsored by CBN and Africa Leadership Forum. It was just a couple of, it wasn't far from where I was working at that point in time. So I said, okay, maybe I should give entrepreneurship a thought. I took study leave at work and then I went to school. The first training we had, the first class we had was called Mindset Reengineering. And at that point in time, after that particular course, my mindset was re-engineered. It was then and there I knew that this thing that was the biggest problem I had at that point in time, I'm sure there were other mothers who had that same problem. So I asked in class from other women that had children what they were doing about feeding their children, and everybody had similar problem. I was like, okay, this is a big deal. Why is there nobody talking about it? I went online, scored, Google. At that point, I could call myself an ERAT, so I could find anything online. But there was nothing, practically nothing, about feeding Nigerian children online. So I started writing, I was reading, I became voracious, and I went on all kind of Facebook groups. And then I became an authority in about 3 months or 4 months about feeding children because I had this depth of information. And then I said, okay, how can I now create a business around this? I tried different things. And then it grew from there. But then, because I was not an expert, I was not a nutritionist person. My son, who was my guinea pig, was now deficient in some nutrients. So now I had to go back to the hospital and say, okay, so I've been doing experiment with my son. But then I now realized that it has to be holistic. It's not just about puring this and puring that and reading what was obtainable in US and Canada and all those places. There has to be things that were homegrown solutions that were rich in certain nutrients and all that, and how to combine them. And that's when I went for courses in nutrition. And then my business started growing. But there's been so many challenges along the way. And the truth is that challenges will come. And one thing that I would leave you with that I always tell everyone, which I always tell myself, is that at every point in your business, there will always be challenges. That's one. And when you overcome what might be your biggest challenge at that point in time, you are going to another level of growth. Your business will experience another level of growth. But if you shy away from that problem, you probably just still remain small. So, and then constantly challenge yourself, constantly upgrade yourself, constantly grow. You know, the biggest problem I had when I started was raising finance. I started another factor, like I said, there are so many things that made me start the business was hunger. Hunger was a major motivating factor. Yes, because my salary then was ridiculous as a BSc holder. I'm like, I need to change something about my life, and I can't continue like this. So I started creating so many streams of income, even within my business. You see, she mentioned ebook. I wrote several ebooks. In fact, that ebook that you said you love, I wrote it in one day. I didn't have a laptop. I just told my husband, if you sow money for laptop into my life from your salary and I buy it, I trust me, I will make you back that money in 1 month. And so we bought the laptop. I wrote the book in 24 hours. I started selling. The first day I sold 110 copies. I was selling at 1,000, which was 110,000 naira.
Wow.
And I made the money back in less than a week, the money that I used to buy the laptop. And so I was creating several streams of income within my business, selling ebooks, selling meal plans, the product itself, consultancy. So you can explore different areas of make yourself an authority. Whenever you have a problem, the solution is always within you. So that's why how I started raising money. Whenever I need money like this, I was okay. What can I sell? What value can I give to these my existing customers that will make them give me more money? And I've always been like that. Not that I don't save, but I'm not the type that believes in saving. I believe whenever I need money, I can look inwards and raise money. And that was how I raised some of the capital that I needed to start with. And then I also mentioned, okay, so high inflection periods, that was what you asked for, right?
Yeah.
And another thing that helped me in my business early on was to put myself in networks that matter, you know, put yourself in networks that matter and consciously push yourself out there. Put yourself out there. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to look fantastic. You don't have just go. Your passion. that took you there will shine for when you are there. I remember my very first big break. It wasn't, you won't even call it a break. I just saw a social sector dialogue event thing. And as a social enterprise, then I just went, I attended. And that table where I sat till tomorrow is still opening doors for me. So I was just at the table and I was sharing with the people on the table, and they were really, I didn't know who was who, but I was sharing. Everyone at that table contributed to the success of my business directly, just by attending one event. And it has always been like that. Every time I go to an event, I network, I meet people, and doors just open. Not that I go there with the intention that, okay, oh, these doors must open, but I go there with that open mind, prayerfully. I always go prayerfully. Even if it's one person I speak with at an event, that person would help transform my business in one way. So, raise. So the high inflection periods were me looking inwards to raise money, networking actively, and applying for opportunities. Every time I see opportunities, I just jump on it, but strategically anyway. Not that there are some things that I don't apply for. I look for opportunities that will help elevate my business, that are directly related to my business, maybe women empowerment, nutrition, education, advocacy, those things that matter to my community. I look for opportunities in that area, and then yes, and I apply for it. I hope I'm not rambling, Sha.
No, go ahead. You are not.
How long do I have?
Okay, so you can round up in like 1 or 2 minutes.
Hello. I think I'm done.
Sorry?
Thank you. I think that will be all for now.
Okay. All right, and thank you, and Sean. That was quite inspiring. And for those who don't know, she's also number one, she's a multiple award-winning businesswoman. I mean, when I looked online and I saw the various awards that she had won, I was like, wow. Anyway, she deserves it, right? She's also a
Thank you.
Mandela, how do you Mandela Washington Fellow, right?
Yes. Yes,
Yes, and
yes.
she's also a Mandela. Well done, Sheil. Well done. I mean, and if you
Thank you.
meet
Thank you.
Sheil, for the first time, she's not the. I mean, she talks about networking, but Sheil is not an extrovert when you meet her. She's just
No.
very cool, calm, collected. But I like the fact that she says you need to put yourself in networks that matter. That you are not an extrovert. That you don't. You are not outward. Going like that does not mean you should not network strategically. Okay. And I like the fact that she said continue, investing in yourself. There's something that she talked about, which I will dwell on later, which is looking inwards to raise money. That's critical and important, but we'll talk about that later. Tupsi, my darling, tell us, how did you, I mean, I don't know how you do it. um, from being a production geologist at Shell, a job some people will kill for. No, not some, a lot of people will kill for. Yeah. And then Harvard graduates, with that your Harvard brain, and everything going on for you. If you look, I looked at her LinkedIn profile and I was not sure if it was written in English because all the technical terms, and I was like, okay, what does this mean? Yeah. Okay. And then you take a drastic shift into now producing skincare products, for women of color, healthy, natural skincare products. And ladies, if you do not know, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. Too, but don't be angry. Yeah. A lot of the skincare brands that you see on Instagram, Tubosu produces all their products. Yeah. It's called white label. And you won't know. The day I was gisting with her, she told me all the brands that she was producing for. I was like, okay, it's all right. So Tubosu, tell us, how did you start? Share with us your journey, please.
All right. Thank you, Shay. So I like where you stopped. So that's where I'm going to pick up from and then just take a bit of break and go back to how I started. So I understood my strength, and that's why I went into white labeling, and I'll get back to that. So how did I start SIMC? there was a time in 2013 was the year when entrepreneurs really bloomed in Nigeria. It was the year of UWIN. Then I was running a janitorial business. It was a domestic cleaning services, and I was fortunate to be part of the people who won UWIN. Going into UWIN, and it was a test. It was really a test of my ideas because I just submitted. It wasn't anything. I'd been running it, cleaning people's houses, pre-construction and post-construction cleaning was what we're doing. And then to have Federal Ministry of Finance say we want to put 6 million in this business, I was like, okay, it looks like there's something up here. So I went into that cleaning business, but I understood the time and tide. So when we went into it for about a year or two, I think we understood then that Nigeria wasn't ready for it. So, because we were competing with housemaids, we were competing with people that you could pay 5K for, and then we decided to leave the business. So that was how I started entrepreneurship in Nigeria. But it left me with a lot of friends. It left me with a lot of network because the UWIN network is actually quite big. And I was able to keep in touch with each of them. So I was just keeping in touch with each of them for the sake. I had left entrepreneurship, but it was still a nice to have. It was still a nice to have network. And I then suffered post hormonal acne. Really, I'm a wimp kind of person. When I want to do something, I just jump on it and I just do it. So this day I was browsing my phone, like Sharon said, erats, and I saw something called GSA. It was a Global Share Alliance, and they were going to have a conference in Abuja. And I just told my husband that, hey, dude, let's do this. So I went, and of course I bought a lot of things. I really went for myself. I went to be able to, find solution for my post hormonal acne. The difference with my post hormonal acne was that I'm not naturally, I'm a shy person, you would never know, but uh, my hormonal acne didn't stop me from being courageous. Yeah. So it was not a problem. It wasn't killing my self confidence in any way. It didn't matter that I had 1001 acne on my face. I was still going to share my opinion anyway. But I realized when I got to the GSA that a lot of people were feeling bad on my behalf, so much more than myself. Like, oh my goodness, your face, oh, your. And I didn't understand it. I'm like, it doesn't deprive my life in any way. It's something I didn't have acne as a teenager. So I'm not worried. But going into that GSA, I saw a lot of opportunities. And again, I pushed it in my mind. Then I was on the something we call international assignment. And while there, I I tried my hands on a lot of things. I'm not the girly kind of person. In fact, now I deliberately teach myself to wear pink. But growing up, I was more into books. I can't plait hair. I can't, I can't paint your nails tall. I can't paint very successfully. I'm not the girl you will call for that. I can't even shape eyebrows. So I'm not a girly girl. So and I started asking God and myself, like, but I can't live life like this. I have to be, there should has to be some fun part of me, beyond just being adventurous. I wanted the girly girl kind of thing. So I started juicing as an option. I said, juicing, is like cooking. Let's try juicing and be selling juice to the people in America. But it took me, so I bought the Breville, the juicer. I think it was like $500 or something that I bought it. The day it came, I was so excited. I juiced, and immediately I finished that juicing. I knew that juicing was not for me. I just knew I had made a mistake. So I just, when you're tired of making wrong decisions, I just said, you know what, God, I'm just going to let this be. So again, I was back on the net, and then I saw someone selling soap base. And immediately, thank God for supporting spouses. I just told him that maybe it's soap making that is the real thing. So indeed, we then took it. It was about 3 hours drive, on the highway, and when we went to get the soap base, and I came back home, I melted the soap base, and it was good, and I liked it. I thoroughly enjoyed the idea of, making soaps. I'm like, it looks like this is the girly part of me coming out. So I then went again. I went on a splurge. I bought a lot of soap making materials. I hadn't started the business. This was 2005. So 2013, if you remember, I had gone to a conference. 2015, I was here making soap, and so it took um, an event of me coming back home and somebody asking me, what soap is this? She just came visiting and she said, what soap is this? I said, oh, it's a soap, melt and pour base, blah, blah, blah. And I told her, and she said, oh, nice, that she's never seen it before. I'm like, eh? You've not seen it before? Ah, it looks like there's a business here. So it wasn't really, I think at that point, maybe I needed it as a help for my skin. But when I really took the decision, I saw it as an opportunity. uh, and I went into it full, like I dived into it. And what I've learned is going, the same way Shenwa has gone is the three things that I wanted to talk about that I've learned. And I'm not going to be telling you the things that worked for me, or I'm going to be telling you the opportunities I didn't take, which I wish I did. So one for me is it's a mix of the ones I took that has worked for me and the ones that I didn't take. One that I didn't take, and which is what Sheon mentioned, was, I'm trying to open my phone, I typed it out actually, was to uh grow and scale through collaboration. So I'm a very strong person. And at the point when I started, I didn't really feel the need for networks. I didn't really feel the need for getting involved in association and growing with that collaboration. So if there's anything I'm going to advise you as a first step is, you would you probably reflect back in few years if you do not do this and wonder why you didn't, because you see a lot of people far ahead of you who you make better products for. They would have strengthened their game and built a bigger brand due to collaboration. So when I woke up to the consciousness that, oh my goodness, I had not taken advantage of people that walk into my office to learn, people that walk into the factory to just want to be my friend, people that invite me online and say, I just want you to speak. I hadn't taken advantage of that. I was like, oh, I'm busy and this is not the time. I didn't want Bugbero kind of business. But when the day I realized that, I now asked myself and said, what is my strength? So my strength is I can sell you. I'm not good at marketing, but when I get into the space of technicalities, I know what I'm talking about daily. Okay. So I started looking for areas of my strength. So areas of my strength was in pitching my ideas to people. I wouldn't go on social media and do it, but if I sit with you and have a conversation, you are sold. So I then, on the flip side, I realized that people could not do a lot of things I could do, but they could market. And now we're having, the skincare business was growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was looking like I was the small rats, even though I was the one that trained most of them. So I asked myself two questions. Instead of selling to people, I will be selling to these businesses. And I took a conscious decision because once they are in business, I wanted to be in business because I knew that I knew more than all of them. So I started pitching the ideas of private labeling. They come for training and I say, you know what, you don't have to do all this product yourself. I can do it. You know, and that kept me in business. And that is what is keeping me in business. Like I tell people, if the beauty businesses in this country are still alive, even if I don't say PIM on Instagram, I am still their boss. And that is how I have kept myself afloat because I had lost out in a game of social media frenzy. I'd lost out in, building collaboration, getting people to do shout out on my page, shouting out people. I'd lost it. Now I'm trying to build it, but I realized that it's not even the strength of my brand. So I'm pitching it as, even though it's not the strength of my brand, we have capitalized on the strengths that we have as a detailed oriented beauty business to provide services to people. So that's the second one. So I'm going to recap again. Number one is grow your business through collaboration. Grow your business through collaboration. Don't make the mistake that I made. Number two is pitch at your strength. The third one is interwoven, which is, and it's quite strange, and I guess it speaks to the second point. It is, the truth is, entrepreneurs are the new business. Every consumer is an entrepreneur. If you think about it, all your friends that you are going to sell to, they are selling something. So you are not looking for consumers. It's no longer a business to consumer market. It's now more of a business to business market. So now what do you have to do? Every conversation that you get into, you have to market like your life depends on it. You have to, talk like this is the business I'm in. You have to keep showing up. And I think that's exactly what Sheon said. Be strategic about it. The networks you join are not just your colleagues, they are your customers. So Paywen, for example, all your friends, all the 55 ladies aside from you, they are all your customers. So find a way to get them to buying into your product. It may not be transactional like money. It may be in the ideas they bring on the table. It may be in the things that they do for you. It may be in the community you belong to, just pitching idea, checking out on one another, because one day they're going to be in a space where someone says, who knows a skincare business? And they're going to refer you. So treat your network like your customers and do not lose lose sight of that. I don't know if I'm going to come up, but I'm going to tell you one lesson that I made that so should I do that now or wait for
Go
Moji
ahead.
and
Go
then
ahead. Although you still have
so
more.
one thing okay, 7 times. So one thing that I didn't learn. I was conscious, but you know, sometimes we take a lot of things for granted. One thing that has stayed with me forever is you see, when they say delegate your business, I think it's not for you entrepreneurs. It's not for us entrepreneurs. What you do is to find a balance in your business. So I run this organization, and we are going to be 4 years by June 6th. I ran this organization for my first year very actively. And then my second year, I just felt into the mood of, you know what, I have a business manager that I'm paying shitloads of money for. You know what, just run it. Anyhow you want to run it, your salary will be paid. And she was taking us in a destination that was not my destination. But every day I wake up and I justify myself like, but I'm paying her money, but she should be able to think. And it took me to connect with one of my friend, and she said she's going to her destination. You are not there. It is your destination. You have to ensure that you guide her to your destination. So even if you have people that are working for you that are totally committed, you are not to lose sight of your business. So I did a litmus test. I wasn't even in country. So most of the reasons why I've not been able to be a full part of same is because I was mostly in and out. And this time I was out of the country. And this is at the point we're already doing, like, this was 2017. We're already doing, and I'm going to give you numbers so you won't think I'm bullshitting you. We're already doing like 700 every month. And this particular month we did 60K. Ah, I'm like, what? Like, what exactly happened? You know? And she went on to tell me that she was, silly things like maybe a delivery courier didn't come on time and she felt that they can wait. Things that I could not imagine that anybody would think like that. But when I keep sharing my frustration to my friend, she says, but that's how she knows how to do something. Forget MSc. That's how she know. If she has a business, that's how she'll run it. This is your business. So if you want people to run it in a certain way, you have to be there all the time. The reason why organizations that are big are still sustainable, organizations that are big are still sustainable is because there is a level of delegation that happens and somebody still takes the final decision. So that lie that they've sold to us as entrepreneurs and they say delegate, 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 I've changed it to, what, stay at your strengths and find other people to work on your weaknesses. But you still have to be in the know. And I'm sure that the mentors that have been here, the people that have held your session must have emphasized that enough. So do not at any point think like, now I'm big enough. Even when you grow so big, Tara is still 100% involved in our business. Mrs. Awoshika is still 100% involved in Chess Center, even though she's doing First Bank. When we take a cue from that, we would understand that it's not so much that you've built a business and you are here. It is more important how your business is being sustained day to day. And that's where I will leave it. Thank you, Shay.
Thank you so much. Um, one of the things I like about the fact that we are bringing entrepreneurs to talk is that they will tell you as it is. I struggled between bringing a celebrated entrepreneur and bringing people who have been there, who've done that, and I'm really happy that I brought, these ladies, because they are telling you as it is, and, guiding you in ways that would, prevent you from, making the mistakes that they've made. So ladies, I'd like you to start sending your questions to the Q&A chat, so that as we round up, we'll just begin to take your questions, because today it's all about you. Like I said, there's no question that you have that between these three ladies that they cannot answer, because they have gone through it, and if they've not gone through it, they know how to guide you, to navigate whatever challenges you're having in your business. So please, ladies, let's start sending questions to the Q&A chat. Yeah, Mochi Magic, over to you. Tell us about your journey, and even as you tell us about your journey, I'd like you to also tell us about the personal challenges you faced in your journey, because your story is not complete about without telling us the personal challenges you also faced whilst building your business.
Okay, thank you. So I started in 2009, and I actually started with chocolates. I started, my company was called Chocolatiers Wonders, and I started making chocolates because I was getting married. I wanted chocolates for my guests because I'm just a chocolate lover. So I wanted chocolates for my guests. And then I was looking for someone to make like all these favors that I could put on the table. And I couldn't find anyone. So I was like, okay, maybe there are other people, there are other brides like me that want chocolates. I was working at the time. So I went to do a chocolate training and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I was a pensions analyst. My job was okay, but I was the kind of person that throughout my working life, I never spent more than a year and a half in any job. I always just got bored and I'll move from one job to the other, So at that time, I was a pensions analyst and I was already getting bored. So when I went for the chocolate training, I was like, okay, this seems interesting. I think I could actually do this. So I had given myself a 10-year plan that I would work in my pensions for another 5 years. And then I'll start a side hustle making chocolates. And then in 10 years' time, I would totally quit my pensions job and then start making chocolates. That was my own dream anyway. When I now moved back, because I wasn't in Nigeria at that time, when I moved back to Nigeria, that was the whole recession, 2008, 2009 recession. So I couldn't even find a job. But I had just done my wedding and I had done the chocolates. And then someone had found out that I made chocolates for my wedding. So they got my number. I don't even know how they got my number. And they were like, oh, we heard you made chocolates, that we want chocolates for our wedding. So I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I made chocolates for that wedding. And then I got another wedding that said they wanted chocolates. And so I made that. And so I just was like, oh, sorry, NEPA is taking light. They'll turn on the generator soon. So I just made, so I just was like, okay, I think I should just start making this chocolate now while I'm looking for another job. So I started doing the chocolates, but then again, weddings were not very consistent. So I'll get the wedding this month. For the next 2 months, I may not get another wedding. So I needed everyday income. So I started, and because Nigerian market wasn't ready for everyday chocolate, like all the chocolate we had known at that time was like Mars chocolate, Snickers, Bounty, and then coming that, oh, you make chocolates, like what are you using? What are you putting in your chocolate kind of thing? So there were people that were skeptical, but when you're at a wedding, everybody's just on a high and excited. So they don't really look at it like, oh, well, this chocolate's made in Nigeria. And they didn't really look like, oh, made in Nigeria chocolate. Just look like any regular chocolate truffle you get at an event. So I started making cupcakes. And the cupcakes were very popular because, of course, we're always celebrating one birthday or the other. So I had consistent, orders for cupcakes. There were days I would have like 20 dozen cupcakes to do. And I had just one oven that could take just 1 dozen of cupcakes. So I'm making like 20 batches in my small oven every time. Because at that time, I didn't really have money. My husband, I forgot to say that my husband, even though he's very supportive, because he already knew my track record, which was why I mentioned that I always got bored after like every year and a half. He was like, okay, Moji, we moved back and he said it will be chocolates. Now you want to do cupcakes. And he's like, I don't have money for any expensive oven because ovens were like 400, 500,000 at that time. Was like, I didn't have money for any expensive oven. So I'm like, okay, don't worry. This is my small oven that can take one tray. I'll just do it and face that. I was lucky at that time because that's when blogging started. There were blogs. There was no Instagram or anything, but I started a free blog. And so every time I made a box or something, I'll put a picture on the blog and then somebody will see it. And so the blog acted like my portfolio where I could send people to go and look at my work. Now we have Instagram that, we can put our work on, but at that time we didn't have that. So people will go there and be like, oh, okay, this girl, okay, maybe her cupcakes don't look bad. Okay, let me taste. I started with a basket. My very first cupcake order was for 6 cupcakes. I remember I did not have a clue where I could get boxes from. I just told my friend, I'm like, oh, I make cupcakes now. And she's like, oh, really? Oh, please let me get for my clients. And she ordered cupcakes. I didn't know where to get boxes. I didn't know where to get anything from. So I went to Maryland under the bridge and got some baskets, cleaned them up, put the cupcakes inside, wrapped it up, and I just gave it to her. And she's like, oh, this is very pretty. And then someone ordered from that. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so from that basket I gave her, someone else ordered 5 dozen boxes because her child's birthday was coming up that weekend. And so I made that. And from that, the business just kind of started growing. And then unfortunately or fortunately, in 2013, we had to relocate. So I had to shut down my business. But during the time when I was working, it was becoming exhausting. I was tired all the time because I was doing everything myself. I was the call taker, I was the marketer, I was the purchasing person, I was the finance person. It was so draining. And at this point, I was also dealing with infertility because I had gotten married and we didn't have any children and we were trying to get pregnant. And so there was just a whole lot going on. So business-wise, it seemed like on the outside, it seemed like I was very successful and doing a lot. But on the inside, I was drained, I was tired, I was frustrated because obviously I also didn't have any processes or anything in place. So during my 2-year relocation, I had time to think and properly plan that what do I even want from this business? And I don't think it was something I really asked myself when I started because it kind of just fell on me. I hadn't really thought about it. All the things that we think about nowadays, your why, your what, your how, none of those things even occurred to me at that time. I was just going with the flow and doing the thing. But I just knew that I couldn't come back to Nigeria and keep doing what I was doing. I would burn out, I would be tired, and I'll just be frustrated. So I had decided that, okay, I'm going to put structure in my business. What do I want from this business? Who do I want in this business? Because sometimes we may be doing business, and as the person said, you may not even, the person in the business may not even know the direction you're trying to take things to. So they just take it to their own direction. So it's understanding where your own business is going to, and then you would understand the kind of characters or qualities you need to look for in the person to actually join you in that business. So I sat down and I was like, I did an organizational structure of what I wanted my business to look like. And I was like, okay, who do I want to employ? Okay, maybe I want to employ a baker. I'm like, what are the things the baker is going to do? So I sat down and I wrote it down. And these are the things that we'll classify now as processes, putting a job description together. They may sound like big buzzwords, but they're things that every business actually needs to do. It's painstaking, but it's something that is required. So I sat down, I wrote everything I thought the baker would do, even market runs, even though I never thought I was sending the baker to the market, but I still wrote it down because I was like, potentially, what if I have a procurement person and the person is not available and I need to send the baker to the market. So it's putting all these like steps into place. I came back and I started my business in a whole new way from when I started the first time. This time I knew my what, I knew why I was doing this business. I had a long-term vision so that even when those bumps come, it's almost like you're going to Ikeja from the mainland. There may be traffic or there may be an accident. That doesn't stop you from going to your destination. It's just a bump in the road, but you still overcome it. So I already knew where I was going, what I wanted with my business. And then at that time, that's when I realized, it's funny that I didn't realize this before, but that was when I realized that in Nigeria, we actually grow cocoa. So I was like, okay, this chocolate thing that I'd been doing before, I think I can use the Nigerian cocoa to do this business. That why is it that all these years I've been making chocolate and I didn't even realize that we actually grow cocoa in Nigeria? That's when I started investigating that, okay, we must do this cocoa in this our country. If we do this cocoa in our country, we can do chocolate in Nigeria. Why is Nigeria not maximizing the potential of the cocoa that we have? Why are we not exporting the value added cocoa? So now we only export our cocoa. Why are we not adding value before exporting our cocoa? So I started doing my research into things that we can do with the Nigerian cocoa. Apart from chocolate, I know chocolate is like the main thing I market now, but I'm in research into all the other things that the Nigerian cocoa can do, because I'm like, there's so much potential in this space and we're actually not capitalizing on it. One of the things I learned in my own journey is knowing your craft, understanding it to the core. As Sheon said, being an authority in it. Because even when someone comes and they're trying to maybe challenge your authority or try, once you know your stuff, there's a confidence that comes with when you speak about your product or when you speak about a certain, the field of, that you're working in, especially when you join all these networks, which are extremely important. I didn't take advantage of the networks I had initially. Many years ago, I had so many networks and I never even took advantage of them. But now I'm coming to understand the importance networking plays in your growth. So all of you that are in this community, don't take it for granted at all, because the next person that may take your business to the next level, or that you may need to collaborate with, or may open a door that you never even knew possible, may actually be on this platform with you. So it's something that should not be taken for granted at all. And then being consistent. There are times when you look at your account and there's nothing there, like absolutely nothing. And you're sitting there and you're like, God, as in this COVID period has taught me a lot of lessons. And you're looking at it and like, God, that was even the point of this business. Like, why am I even doing this? Why did you even call me to this? Because I know that God called me to this. And sometimes I go back and I'm like, God, please, where can I just be? Sometimes I actually desire a 9 to 5. That why can't I just know that every month, though, this money is what I have, and I'm not even having a headache of, the generator has gone off. There's no water. This morning they called me that our building has only 2 phases instead of 3, which means that we can't run our ovens, so we have to run the generator. Like, I'm just like, God, I don't want to deal with all these things. But then again, you look at your why, you look at the bigger picture. You look at where you want to go, that, okay, this is just another hitch in the whole picture. I still have a long journey. I still have a longer place. See now, my generator is not starting. They've been trying to start the generator.
Okay, I don't know what happened. It was when she got to the interesting part of the gist that, I think the network went off. But, one thing, let me summarize everything everyone has said, so that we don't lose out of the point. Sheryl mentioned about putting yourself in networks that matter. She talked about just doing it. Start wherever you are with whatever you have and just do it. Look inwards to raise money. Like I said, I'll still talk about this at the end of the program. Yeah. Apply for opportunities strategically. There are a lot of opportunities that are available right now for entrepreneurs, but it's not every opportunity that is for you. So understand your why and look for opportunities that help to follow your why. Understand time and tide. She talked about this. Tobasun talked about growing your business through collaboration. Ladies, I have been drumming this since we started this program. Grow your business through collaborations. Moji is here. Okay, so you're mute, Moji.
Okay, sorry, I said I was already rounding up. I said these are part of the things, like the generator has refused to start. Maybe starting it. Some of the many challenges, but look at the bigger picture, understand your why, understand that everything will not always be perfect, but it's that resilience and that tenacity that needs to, drive you and keep pushing you, because you already know the future that you have planned for that business that you've decided to embark on. So let me stop there now.
Thank you so much, Moji. I mean, listening to Moji talk is usually very, very entertaining and very enlightening. I mean, and I don't think Moji has even scratched the surface of the challenges that she has gone through. I mean, when it comes to business, I don't think there's any challenge that you want to say you have gone through that Moji has not gone through. And despite it all, she's pulled through, yeah, and she's a success story today. So let me continue, summarizing what Subosun said. And she talked about treating your network like your customers. One thing you would know if you have Subosun in your life, even if you're not a skincare expert, you will learn about skincare. She's one person that understands skincare like the back of her hand, and she's able to teach it in simple ways. I mean, pretty, very, if you know, once you just meet her for the first time, she will teach you about skincare. That's one thing I love about her. Then she talked about driving and guiding your staff and stakeholders towards your destination. You are the pilot in your business. Don't let another person drive your business for you, please. Then stay at your strengths and delegate your weaknesses. Okay. Never ever delegate what you consider as an area of strength for you. Always focus on that, but delegate, your weaknesses. And then Moji talked about process documentation. Ladies, we hear about this thing. When you go to business school, you hear them talk about it. I like the fact that she has brought it home to say, this is super important. Know your craft. One thing that you will know about all our three panelists is the fact that they are authorities in their chosen fields. When it comes to skincare, Tubosu is the biggest authority that I know. When it comes to food, I told you that I'm very particular about food. For me to be following her Bible on feeding babies, then definitely she's the biggest authority that I know. And when it comes to chocolate, give it to Moji. When it comes to confectionery, when it comes to, all those sweet things, Moji will just taste an ice cream and tell you everything that has gone into it. She'll tell you, oh, they could have added this extra, it would have made it better. Oh, this, and you'll be like, come on, it's just sweet. It's just ice cream. It's just chocolate. I don't see the difference. I don't even like chocolates anyways. Yeah. I mean, that's why that I really don't like sweet things. The day I tasted Moji's cookies, I did not know when I finished it. And I mean, the nylon was empty already before I now realized that, Moji, how far? I'll finish this thing. Yeah. So you will know that they are all authorities in their fields. It's important you know your craft, ladies. Continue improving yourself till you are the best at it. Yeah. She talked about being consistent. She talked about finding your why. And she also mentioned that everything will not always go as planned. I mean, take for instance, now that, today, how, her lights went off and she was not even perturbed. She just continued talking like, nothing happened. You need to understand that everything will not always be perfect, but you need to continue to forge ahead towards your why. Thank you so much, ladies. I mean, let's take questions, yeah. And so, if there are other points that you want to make, we can add it, to the questions. And I'd like to start with first question from Omalara Manuel, who says, when it comes to balancing a full-time job and building a business, I think this is for Tubosun. Sometimes I don't actively work on my business until someone requests a service. How do I overcome the challenge of neglecting my business and not actively doing something to build it? Tubosun, this for you.
Right. That's Omolara, right? Omolara, I'm not sure that I'm going to tell you the answer you want to hear, but I'll give you the shorts. So one thing I always advise against, and I know that when people say, "Oh, I'm working a 9 to 5, and I also run my business," we tend to rob Peter to pay Paul. You know, because I come from the perspective of you shouldn't do that. I'm going to tell you, when you're at your job, you are at your job. Be at your job. And when you are back home, be at your business. Because what happens then is that you become lousy at both, because you are at work, you are you're what? You are busy looking out for businesses for yourself. It's conflict of interest. So I'm going to pitch it in that order. So how then do you create the balance? This is what I advise. If you can account for every seconds of your time and be intentional about how you use it, you will be fine. So it means you come out of your business. When you're at your work, you are out of your business. Your brain is not thinking about it. And immediately you get home, maybe you have kids, you need to do whatever you need to do. Maybe you just need to settle in. And you know that by 7 to 8, I want to, for example, as simple as write a blog post for my business, or I want to reach out to 2 people, and you get that done. It will move you forward. There's a phrase that I like to say. It is, um, while you are working in your business, you should also work on your business. In fact, immediately you have one staff, then your time should be 50-50. Let's say you start 100%, you are doing everything. The day staff A comes in, take out 20% and say, this 20% of my time, I will be using it to work on my business. It's different from working in. Most of us, what we do in our business is we work in our business. You make the product, you do this, you do that. That's working in your business. But how do you work on your business? You take a step back, go back to your drawing board and ask yourself, what should I be doing at this phase? What's the next thing we should be doing, and move that forward. So time management is very key for people like me and you that are doing a 9 to 5. I don't know if your organization allows it. I'll tell you my personal experience. I had to take a pay cut. I had to take a pay cut to have time off to myself. And when I tell people, it's Nigeria and ethics is not really a big thing. But what I tell myself is, if people are working in my establishment, and I reinforce this to my staff, for the fact that I am not cheating my organization to work on my business, I wouldn't tolerate that anybody does that. But immediately you do it, you know what you have done? You have opened yourself up for everybody that works in your establishment to do same. So advice, you gather yourself for self discipline. And even if it is an hour, don't make it too long. Don't worry, business is not that hard. It's just challenging. It's not hard. It's just, it's just the challenges that come. Even if it is 1 hour a day you want to work on your business, maybe you need to wake up earlier. Maybe you need to sleep late. Whatever it is, maybe it's during your office time. For example, if there is a office break time, then if there's no work at that time, you can as well, take a break and really, ask yourself, when I get home, what will I do for my business? But ethically, I always tell people, as much as you can manage when you're doing a 9 to 5, and I guess this is really one of the reasons that I can publicly say I work, because everybody in my organization, I didn't pitch my business to them. I don't even talk about my business to any of my colleagues, as in I'm that straight-headed. That when they ask me, so what are you doing on your Fridays that you take off? I just say I'm doing my own personal stuff. Now, a couple of them know that I run a business, but they didn't hear it from me. And for me, it was just from the perspective of being ethical in my business. So I guess that's where I'll stop it.
Yes, thank you for that, Simsi. And one thing I learned from Tubosun, is Tubosun knows how to be in the now. So if now she's having fun. She's having fun 100%. She's not thinking about work or thinking about business, no. And if 30 minutes from now she's focused on her business, she'll make that transition in the most amazing of ways. She moves from being in a fun mode to work mode, like, there was no barriers between it. So I pretty much think what she's saying is, if you're at work, be at work. When you're at home, be at home. Work on your business. So she has another question for Sheil. Sheil, are you still with us? I know you're at the factory, but
I'm
please.
here.
Okay,
Actually,
thank
I'm
you.
here.
Yeah, so she says, you mentioned about mindset reengineering. Can you please share the mindset shifts that you experienced?
Okay. I'm not sure I remember exactly what it was. It was a number of
Okay, we
things.
talked about the CBN.
Yes, I
CBN
know. I know
training.
that's what she's referring to. So the thing is, I can't exactly say. Half of the things that I learned then that was shocking to or earth-shattering as at that point in time does not hold water now because classroom learnings are different from real life learnings. And as you grow in business, you learn different things. But one thing that I would say re-engineered my own mindset personally is that um, you don't you don't overwork yourself to get effort and to get results. That's one critical thing that I learned personally from my. I wish I had known this earlier, because I also 24/7. I mean, really 24/7 around the clock, and I knocked myself out. That I had to be hospitalized. I collapsed from exhaustion. So now I'm more about wellness and I achieve more. Because it's in Nigeria, you hear the slang every time, hustle, so that this one, that one will not happen to you. But as much as you're hustling, remember that you have a family. Remember that you have your health to think about. Remember that wellness is your wellness is paramount. Your spiritual wellness, emotional, all those things make a person successful. It's not just about I wake up, I jump here, I go there. That's one of the things that you need to also get into your mindset, especially if you're a woman, if you're a mother living in Nigeria. It's not easy, but you have to consciously make that effort to take care of yourself, and then it will reflect in your business. Because when you are well rested, that's when you can be creative. That's when fresh ideas can come, and that's when you can give your best. So I think that's one of mindset things that I wanted to share. And closely related to that, two things. Okay, two things related to that is also don't be afraid to fail. Failure is part of success. I think it was Moji that mentioned it that she started something again. I started my business 3 times all over, but nobody knows. 3 times I closed shop. I said, everybody go. We need to start from fresh from all over again. So don't be afraid to fail. It's critical to your growth because if you don't learn from your failure, you just keep reinventing that cycle, that nonsense that is making you not produce things. That's not giving you results. And then closely, the last thing I wanted to mention for women, don't multitask. I know, yeah, it's like a superpower thing or a superhero African woman thing. I'm making phone call, cooking, sweeping at the same time. It won't work. You only give less than 100 for everything. So one of the things that has helped me be successful, I started practicing it, I think from 2016, 2017, is unitasking. So I wake up and say, what is the biggest thing I want to achieve today? Just one. And then I achieve it. I shut every other thing out and I go ahead and do that one thing. And then before I go to bed, what's the biggest thing I want to do tomorrow? The next. So I just take it one at a time and then I achieve much more. Instead of saying, I have a to-do list that has 10 items and I struggle to do, and then I keep carrying it over, and then I'm overwhelmed and all of that. just pick one thing. And I learned that from my grandfather too. After I collapsed, he says, do one thing, and then tomorrow, what next? And then what next? And then what next? So yeah, those are the mindset things that you should you should recondition your mind to stop multitasking. You know,
All right.
that's it.
Thank you so much, Shil. I mean, that is very, I mean, it's very instructive even for me, because sometimes I'm like, the chief at multitasking. I want to do 20 things at the same time. Yeah. And
Mm,
then I didn't realize that I don't even, I mean, some days I wake up at the end of the day, I've not even done one thing because I listed out
mm,
20 things that I wanted to do. Yeah. So
mm.
that's quite instructive. So Moji, we have a question for you from Willie Utube. She says, how do you stop yourself from getting bored in your business and looking for something else to do?
Okay. As you can see, I'm in the car now. You just have to overcome whatever challenge that gets
Yeah.
thrown at you. So my phone battery almost died. I just came to the car. Yeah, charge it. Let's go. Okay, so how do you get bored? Number one, I think that if you're very passionate about what you're doing, I don't know that boredom will set in. There will be times when you're like, what next? Like maybe because you stretched yourself so much. So let me give you an example. Um, when I was doing the cupcakes, I don't know that I didn't really necessarily get bored of it, but it was the case of, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And then the customers were the ones that started asking, what else are you doing? Don't you make cookies? It would be nice if you make cookies that we can munch on as well, or that we can buy when we buy the cupcakes. So sometimes I think that instead of you trying to rush into doing something, let your customers tell you what they need. That, oh, we need cookies to go along with our cupcakes. And then you also have to check that, okay, oh, I have this big picture for my company. Are cookies part of it? Cookie, can it fit into the frame of what I want to do? Because it's not every request that you would also take on. People have been asking me for bread since. Bread is not in the goal I have now for my business. And as much as bread fits into that confectionery frame, is not something that the business is interested in at this point, or even in the next 5 years. So I tell them that no, but if someone says, okay, cookies, okay, can we fit it into our goal? Is it still inside? If a customer comes and they're asking you for jollof rice, like it's not even in the sphere of what you do. Or if a thought comes, and also another thing is, it's not everything that you're good at that you're supposed to do as a business. I'm very good in making my ofada sauce, but it does not mean that I will go and set up ofada on the go. Or you come and buy your bowl of ofada. And even if I do that, then I may not even advertise it as my business or come and put it on my cake page, because I know that in these COVID times, we're all looking for opportunities to get revenue or get income. But those things, as much as I may want to do a father on the side because I'm like, man, my business accounts are not adding up, they then become distractions. So they don't then help you to focus on the goal that you have for your own actual business. So that side hustle then starts taking over from your main hustle, and then it starts becoming a distraction, even though it's not your passion. So it's about your own passion, whatever you're passionate about. Have you explored it in its entirety? So as Shehu said now, okay, she wrote an ebook. If you start getting bored with your work that you're doing now, can I explore writing a book about it? Maybe there are other people that even want to do this business I'm doing. So you're still staying in your sphere, but you're just exploring other avenues within it. And those kind of things can keep you going. Can I do a video to teach people? Can I start a YouTube channel that shows people some things that they may not know, without giving out my business secrets or the things that distinguish my business from other people's businesses? So those are the kind of things that you can do that would still keep you gingered, so to say. And sometimes you just need a break. which is the truth. You just need to take a week out and just clear your head and let fresh thoughts come in, let fresh ideas come in. You may think that you cannot afford it, but if you're lying sick, or as Seun said, if you collapse, you will take that break, you know. So yeah, I think those are some of the things that will help you.
Absolutely, Moji. And Moji is one person that will just sleep and wake up, like I always say, and say, there's a chocolate festival in Mexico. Okay, it's for next week. Okay, pot chocolates. You guys are on your own. I'm going to Mexico for this chocolate. Doesn't waste time. As in, she does not waste time. I don't think there's any major chocolate event in the world that she's not attended or she doesn't plan to attend, and she doesn't even waste time about some of those things, you know. So I mean, the next question. Meanwhile,
Can I quickly add to that, Shay,
okay, yeah,
before you
yes,
go? So I know that a lot of us women suffer from this thing. It's called, for the lack of a better word, the disease of a brilliant mind. Where you have different ideas. Everywhere you go to, you just see, maybe we should start selling clothes. This place is vegetable that is moving here. It's the disease of a brilliant mind, and I have it, but I don't call it a disease for myself. I call it a blessing. So what I then do is, to help yourself from getting bored from what you're currently doing, because there is another shining object syndrome. What you should do is instead carry a notebook everywhere you go to and write down all your ideas. In fact, you can actually sell that book of ideas later in the future, because now, when your mind is at work, there is nothing you can do to stop that mind from working, because when it catches that idea, it just goes into a bomb. What you want to do is also enjoy the time. So there are days when I'm just sitting down and an idea just comes to me, bam, and I'm like, let's write this down. And I write it down. And in writing it down, I realized that this is not the time, because writing down helps you to come to terms with the true scope of that business. So it's not just thinking it in the head. Oh, I'm bored. Now it looks like nail painting is the in thing. No, when you have the idea that is, shaking you up and taking you away from what it is that you're doing, sit down and say, okay, let's even write down this idea, and write it down. Okay, now be selling paints, we'll buy pigments. Next question is, where will you get the pigments from? Like, they don't sell pigments in Lagos, they sell it in Ajakuta. You're like, logistic problem. So it helps you to zone in into, it was just a shining object syndrome. But a good part of that is that once you would wake up in another 5 years with a book full of ideas. And the day you are tired, you are truly tired, or maybe things have changed, social economic is better, you are in a better place, there's more funds, or maybe you just have more capacity, you can really dust out your idea books and say, okay, which is the next one to do. So don't get caught up in the disease. Instead, transfer it. It's a brilliant mind we all have as women when we can, you know, think about so many things at the same time. So please enjoy those moments too. And as Moji said, 100% with Moji, don't burn yourself out, please.
coming from Minister of Enjoyment herself, I mean, I understand what you're saying. But the next question is actually for you, but I'd like both you and Seun to take a go at it. So Abigail is asking, how do I keep the energy level of my team members high at all times?
Sean, yeah, my organ at the top. So please take a shot. I'll come in after you.
Oh, I was waiting for you to go. Okay, so for me, I carry them along all through my journey. Um, Everything that we do. So we are currently in the finals of an international competition. Big money. Whenever we are pitching ideas or we have things to do, it's always teamwork. So when we win, we have these big wins. We all celebrate together, and they feel a part of it. So I think that is one of the biggest things that helped them. And to be honest, I think a lot of Nigerians we downplay how good our team members are. They're on our team to help us anyway. So why not enlist them in everything? We have this idea or this opinion that they will come and steal everything and run away with it. So but for me, it helps when they feel a part of it. They have a sense of belonging. I send them on trainings. I just give them. I don't micromanage most of the time. I supervise, but I don't micromanage. So I give them free hand, team leaders, and we give them titles. That helps. Even our casual staffs, you have supervisors, you have team leaders, you have different titles, and that helps them feel. And then you set goals for them. I'm very good at that. So I give them a goal. Every team, every unit, every department, they come up with their own ways of meeting that goal or that target. But I always set goals, and for them to meet it or even exceed it is one of the things that helps them, keeps them in high spirits. And I always motivate. I take care of my staff, so I don't joke with them. I think that is one of the biggest reasons why they're always in high spirits. I motivate, incentivize, all kinds of things I can think of. I pay very well. Every month end they go home with provisions. We have very good health benefits for them too. So that's one of the ways that they feel very high. I celebrate them. I have very good staff. I have very, very good staff. And when you motivate them very well, I think for Nigerians, motivation is in money, in recognizing that they have talents, and that they can deliver, and also that just give them opportunity to shine.
Fantastic,
That would be it.
Sharon. You
Yes.
just let's so put it in proper perspective, Sharon. What's your staff strength like, so that our listeners can know how big we are talking about.
Oh, okay. Currently, we are 18.
18. Okay, all right then. Tupsi, quickly, because we have quite a number of, I also
Right.
don't we are
So
streaming on YouTube, because some people find it easier
Oh,
to log in through YouTube. So I want us to be able to take the YouTube questions also. So quickly.
okay.
all right. So Sean has it on the I notes, and I'll just add one thing. It says that you build their skills. So while rewarding them, encouraging them, learn to build their skills. So if I know that I started with same C as a cleaner, you're not going to leave my organization as a cleaner. You're going to leave as probably a production assistant or something. So that's my biggest motivation for them, as Sean said.
Thank you. And that's fantastic. So there's a question that is for Moji, but I also know that Simsi is an expert in this area. So I would like Moji will go first, then Simsi would also add her her bit. So Ebon Oluwala, when you says, how do we penetrate the food industry as a food processor, especially with the hassle of obtaining necessary permits like NAFDAC? So
Okay, that's food processing, right?
yes.
Okay. So I think that with food processing, because I started with confection, and when I started, NAFDAC wasn't very big, like, or maybe for the lack of a better word, very stringent. Now things have really changed. How do you penetrate? I think that if you want to, man, how do you penetrate? I think that start because, to be honest, if I think with NAFDAC, if you don't have things that are labeled, you can still sell. It's once it's labeled that you then have to get your NAFDAC certification. So if you're doing food processing and you're starting with friends and family, which more often than not is where most of us start with. That's where I started. I started with friends and family, and then you get referrals, because if you're trying to get into like a supermarket or certain places, They would not even entertain you if you don't have your NAFDAC certificate or NAFDAC number. Another thing is there's some restaurants that, I mean, like if you're doing maybe poundo yam, I don't know what kind of food processing you're doing, but if you're doing maybe like a poundo yam or something, there are some restaurants that will take up your wholesale product without the NAFDAC registration yet because they are converting it into a finished product. But of course, for you to approach these places, then you need to know that, I mean, your product is good enough, is competitive enough for them to actually leave the products they currently have to then explore using your own product. But I would say that look to get your NAFDAC. That's the only way you can scale. That's the truth. That's the way to scale. And NAFDAC, it doesn't have to be your facility. If you're not aware, NAFDAC has, what do they call them? They have a word for them, test centers or production centers that you can use in obtaining your own certificate. So I think there's one in Agege for Lagos. Different states have their different ones. And someone has even told me that it's actually easier to go outside of Lagos. Of course, with this COVID, I don't know how possible that is. But it's actually easier and faster to go out of Lagos to obtain one of these certificates. But for food processing, it's extremely important to get that NAFDAC. If you don't get it, there's no way you sell to supermarkets. There's no way that you would export. And I mean, for food processors, it's volume. Volume is kind of what drives the sale because it's already a competitive market. So without the NAFDAC, you're not even being competitive in the market at all.
Okay. I would want Seun to also take a go at this, but before then, now Tubasu is a NAFDAC expert. For all of you that don't know, when it comes to NAFDAC, she knows them like the back of her hands. So Tubasu, can you just quickly talk about NAFDAC certification and what, especially those who want to go into food processing or skincare, need to put into consideration whilst applying for their NAFDAC certification?
So I'm going to back off and say, no, I'm not a NAFDAC expert for everything. I know cosmetics NAFDAC back of my hand, but I don't really know about food. Okay. So whatever I tell you about NAFDAC is solely about cosmetics and drugs. So what Moji was trying to tell you was the technology incubation centers. You can actually use them. I think they are great for food. I'm not sure. We haven't recorded a high success rate with them for cosmetics, but I know for food, they've been very supportive for people that do packaged products, right? So which fits into your processing, if that's what you call it. So in short words about NAFDAC, you see, NAFDAC is really not as difficult as we make it out to be. It's expensive yet, but not difficult. So once you settle in on your business and you clearly identify steps, and this applies to all stages of NAFDAC or all categories of products that NAFDAC certifies, once you can really be detailed and say, I want to produce this bottle of water, and you can conceptualize how that water flows from the ground into this bottle, that it will be safe for people's consumption, then you can get NAFDAC. It's any other thing I say would be like putting fear into you, but it's as simple as that. The work is we are not in the climb where people like to do a lot of work. I will now pour 5 centiliters. But that's what NAFDAC requires you to do. Proper documentation of all your processes, and you are home and dry. And it also helps you too for your own business. So even if you are not chasing NAFDAC yet, but the ability to produce the same product day in, day out. Think about Coke. How are they able to give us Coke, the same taste every time in Nigeria? It means they follow a particular process. So if you can think about it in that regard, then you've got NAFDAC covered.
Thank you, Simsi, for making it, pretty simple. Sean, do you want to add your bit to it? Because it's like a big elephant that a lot of people face.
I didn't realize I was still muted.
Okay.
I could, so I'm looking at my calendar, but I could do a free, maybe a 1 hour session with food processors in your community on how to go about NAFDAC registration for free. For people in food processing, this is the best time for you. And there are different scales to this thing. It depends on what you're processing. There are some that you require just one room, say like a bakery. If you're baking bread, you can do it from a room because it's something that you can buy from anywhere. But chips, chin chins, things are easy like that. It's very easy. But let's think about organizing something, and I'll be happy to share thoughts and insights to help anyone that has that challenge.
Thank you so much, Sean. That's super kind of you. Thank you. We would organize it. I mean, in the following weeks, we'll look at your calendar. We'll work with your calendar, and then we'll organize something around that. Thank you so much. There's a question on collaborating. So how do you identify? It's coming from you, Ebon, on the YouTube platform, and she's saying, how do you really identify people, good candidates for collaboration? Especially when your product is not really like what we'll say, like a painkiller. So I think it was, who talked about collaboration? I think it was Tubosun, right? Yes, please. Do you want to take that question? How do you identify potential um, candidates for collaboration?
Well, so one of the ways that have helped me in identifying people I want to collaborate with is, again, looking at what I want to do, big picture, like Moji has been saying. So it's not just collaborating just for the sake of it. So for example, your product, skincare is not a painkiller too. Skincare is now a commodity, you know, and in the sense of it, everybody has a soap that they already use. I'm not sure anybody is lacking soap. We all took our bath this morning. So the difference is what then makes me to want to sell Simsi to you and ensure that you buy it, maybe through myself or through someone I'm collaborating with. So in that instance, what I'm looking out for are people that probably are able to talk about maybe how to properly manage your skin. If you have acne, maybe invite a doctor. So collaboration is not necessarily about finding people in your own space. It's about reaching out to all the possible tentacles of what your industry influences. So it's not you going to it's not you going to meet maybe like a competitor, and it could be you guys just coming together and talking about an idea or maybe a thought process or something. And I'm going to and I want Moji to speak to this rather. Moji has been doing a fantastic example of collaboration during this COVID. And what Moji has done is that she has, and Moji, I think I'll just let you just have your time to tell us how fantastic your idea towards collaborating with other people have been.
Hi. Okay. So this COVID period, I've been running like a live session where I bring different entrepreneurs, mainly bakers, to talk about their experiences and in the industry. So we take a different question every week. I think that even when you decide to collaborate, I think that when you look at people, you need to look at people that um, your values and your goals align. I know people always say this, but it's the truth. If the direction you're going is left, if you talk to someone that is going to the right, they're not going to understand what you're talking about, or they can't really see where you're going. But if you talk to somebody that is already going the direction you're going, they would see sense in the thing that you're trying to explain to them, or in the collaborative efforts that you're trying to bring together. And this collaboration thing, let me tell you, one of the biggest things that changed my life last year was overcoming the fear of no. I always say, what's the worst thing that would happen? You ask someone that, oh, would you be interested in doing this with me? Or would you be interested in us, bringing out this together, or having a talk or a session on this together? What's the worst that will happen? The person would say no. And you move on your jolly way to go and look for another person. I mean, that was my biggest takeaway from 2019 was overcoming the fear of no. Now I can ask or approach anyone for anything. And if they say no, I just say thank you for your time. Because sometimes it's not about you. It may just be about your timing. Or it may just be at that point, they can't key into what you're trying to do. So it's not, I don't take it personally. It's nothing personal if someone says no to me. Me too, I don't feel bad when I say no to people, because sometimes it's just not the right timing. Or you don't know, maybe I'm having some personal challenges or something and it just can't work, or I just can't find the time. So if I have to say no, I'm very comfortable with saying no, and I'm very comfortable with receiving a no as well. So that shouldn't stop you from still making that effort. But as Semsi said, what is the aim of the collaboration? Why do you want to collaborate with someone? Have you defined that? Because that's the first thing. If you decide that, oh, I want to collaborate with someone, what's the end goal of that collaboration? What's the value that you want to bring? And what's the value you think they would bring to that collaboration? Is it a monetary collaboration whereby, okay, please, can you join my product with your product and each of us will make 20%? Or is it just intellectual collaboration? Or is it just, oh, I just want you to come and speak to some people about this thing? Those are collaborations and they're collaborative efforts, but they all have different definitions and different aims and goals. So define that collaboration, write down what the end goal is, write down what the benefits are for each group. And then that's when you start narrowing down on, okay, who do I think I should invite, or who should I speak to, or who do I think will key into this thing I'm trying to do. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Moji. And you know, one of the sessions and that you had, I mean, on your Insta Live, even though I didn't speak, was Baker stole my idea. I just thought that was fantastic, and that was brilliant. And you know, someone has asked the question. That's what made me remember that session. You know, how do I stop my employees from stealing my idea? You know, I think I'll let you go at it. Then we'll just ask one more question. One question for Sean, one question for Tuboso, and then we'll wrap it up because our time is really fast spent. So how do we stop people from stealing our employees particularly? How do we stop them from stealing our ideas?
Okay, so the way I treat these employee stealing ideas is very maybe non-conventional. So let me tell you something. When you start a business, the recipe does not necessarily define your business. It may give you a footing or an edge, but that's not the definition of your business. There's so many other things that define how people perceive your business, your brand, your branding, your customer service skills, even your persona, your brand persona as well. So sometimes it is your recipe, sometimes it is not. Now there's some products or there's some companies like Coca-Cola where there is a way to formulate your recipe such that your staff cannot necessarily steal it. So I run a bakery and some of my recipes, not all, are in mixes that I make myself. So my staff cannot steal it. But there's some that they're not in mixes. I'm not able to convert them to mixes because of the process of making those ingredients. Am I worried if my staff steals it now? No. Why? Because they don't have the same access to the markets I have access to. People buy from me because of my brand name. People buy because of me, the brand persona, and not me personally, but at least the brand persona I've created that more often than not is an image of yourself. So if they steal it, do I think it would affect my business? Unless they take it to a competitor. And remember that even if they take it to a competitor, it will take a while for the competitor to gain ground, for someone to say that, oh, this thing actually tastes exactly like Moji's own. And that market is probably even targeting someone else because they already have their customers. So they may not necessarily be stealing my customers. They may just be giving my product to their ready customers. So to me, that's how I treat. I don't treat it with a lot of Panadol or paracetamol. Like, I don't carry it on my head that this staff has stolen my recipe. You know, it's mainly big brands that suffer those kind of things. And remember, even in the wider world, even when people patent their stuff, after a while the patent goes off and everybody jumps in. Is the way the world is. Protect what you can protect is what I would say. But don't give your head too much. Don't give yourself too much of a headache. Focus on the market you're targeting, because that's why we do all these things in these courses. That they'll say, know your market. Who are you targeting? Who's your target audience? Blah blah blah. Your staff that is stealing your recipe, they don't understand all those things. To them, they've stolen your recipe. Yes, they'll maybe open a shop in front of their house and just be selling as much as they can, but they do not have that wider access and that wider knowledge that you have professionally.
Okay, thanks a lot, Moji. I really want to stop, but I mean, the questions keep pouring in. So I'm going to ask a final set of questions, one question per person. And then if you can just also share your concluding thoughts, after answering each question. So I think, let me start with Tubosun. So there's a question here from Omalar Manua again to say, do you ever feel like your giftedness is a burden? And how do you overcome the guilt of not using your gifts the way you feel you should? I know yeah.
Maybe before I used to feel like, oh my goodness, I'm so smart and I'm not doing so much with my smartness. Like, I'll tell you, I'm a very, very, very smart girl. Like, I sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, so you're this smart, you know. And I'm saying that for a purpose, because women, we do not do that enough to ourselves. We do not appreciate, the amount of sense that we have. So I've learned to enjoy it. I'm like, oh gosh, this girl is just so smart. I tell it to myself. So I don't see it as a burden. What I then do, how it has helped me or how I have moved it forward is, for example, and that's what Sheyi probably talked about. Let's say I wanted to do something like a powen, or I have an idea that is similar to powen. When it comes to me, I'm just going to call Sheyi and say, Sheyi, have you thought about this? you know when I have another idea, maybe for a fashion maker, or something just occurs to me like, maybe I should be doing fashion now. I'm going to write it down and know that I can't do it. Then I'll call a fashion friend and say, babe, have you thought about this? So you see, in that way, I have moved this blessing forward by preferring solution to other people's problem, or even just giving them ideas that they haven't thought about. So I don't carry I carry it as a blessing. I make sure that I keep my friends very close, that they benefit from my blessing, such that there's a friend of mine that is tired of me. Like, I dump ideas on her table every day. She does all these spices, blah, blah, blah. I belong to another network where the only thing they talk about is spices. So as they're sending it and I'm having ideas, I just push it to her. You see, that way you really be a blessing to people. And you just feel when you now see, so when I see her, take this idea and run. I just feel like a part of something. So that's the way I've really been able to enjoy my blessing. It's no longer a curse. I love it.
Thank you so much, Sims. And everything she has said is real life. Like I started in my introduction, she's one of the think tank for PWN. She's always calling up to check up how we're doing, do we need support, how's everything, and just type, I need to pick your brain. Before I even click on send, it's like she's already waiting. She's calling me immediately to say, okay, babes, here I am. What do you want? Thank you so much for that, Tubosun. So now there's a question from Tola. Says she has sent me messages on every platform to say if I don't read out her question, so Tola, I would read out your question. I was actually saving it for Moji, because I think she's in a better position, to answer your question. So she says, I have a background in photography and lighting equipment. I'm also trained in decorations, and I'm thinking of building a personal brand around this. How can I go about doing this?
Okay. Sorry. So she has a background in photography
And lightning.
yeah
And she also
Enlighten me.
has experience in decorations.
Okay. Okay, so I would like you to go and check one of my friends who is a photographer. I don't know if you know her. Her name is Buckles Memoirs.
Can
She
you spell it?
does Buckles, Buckle Memoirs.
Okay,
I
that's
think
fine.
that's her Instagram handle. So
Okay.
she was the one that took my children's picture when they were one, and I met her in a similar platform as this. And we just got talking, and she was like, "Oh, she takes pictures." I'm like, "Oh, my children will be one soon. Can you come and do a mini photo shoot for us?" This was in 2016, and she was like, "Fine, she'll come." And like when she came, it wasn't the regular. Oh, okay, just put one board. This girl spent like 2 hours doing the backdrop in my house because I told her that I got a rainbow theme for my children and cake for my kids. So she spent like 2 hours. I mean, I was just looking at her. She spent like 2 hours doing the backdrop. She put a blue wall. Then she now started blowing balloons of the rainbow. Now arranged it. Now started putting like cotton wool, clouds. So you see, she's using her creativity in her photography. So it's like she's merged those two skills together. So you have two skills and you're wondering, okay, I'm a good decorator and I have this degree in photography. How can I bring them together? If you look, in fact, now she's just opened a page for just her backdrops. She has done almost, I think she said 5,000 backdrops for different photography, different portraits that she does for kids. She's mainly a children's photographer. So can you merge those your two skills together into one so that you're not having one page, I'm a event designer, blah, 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 and then you're now having another page, okay, I'm a photographer, something, something. Can these skills be merged together to give you a distinguishing factor? Like there's so many people that do setups for backdrops, for photo shoots now. But no matter what, your creativity will distinguish you. Your style may not be the same. There's some people that initially they in inverted commas, let me say copy, because they've not found their style or they've not understood their style. And a lot of people, of course, are against copycatty and all that. But sometimes these people copy from other people. I would say if you're copying someone, don't pick and copy. So merge ideas. So it's not that maybe Sheyi is wearing blue glasses, so the person will wear blue glasses too. No, can your own be red or pink? Can it be an updo instead of a low hair coming down? Do you understand? But sometimes on some journeys, we need ideas to then help us find our own strength and find our own uniqueness. Then you start understanding, okay, this is my style. This is the way I like to do things. This is how I like to place my stuff. I like a dark image instead of a light, bright, colorful image. In continuing your work, you then find your own uniqueness, but hone those skills. So in your photography, are you the best? Can you bring out the best pictures? If I look at your photography page now, do I think there's something different there? Is there something that attracts me to it? And then you now start bringing in your decorative skills. Like, okay, instead of doing plain backdrops like most people do, what can I bring to this? Can I do a whole dinner setup just because I want to take somebody in my office? Something that is different, that gives me an edge. So I've set up and laid a whole table just because I want to take someone looking pretty and giving them a perception, an image of being at a dinner party. Those little things, when you start doing them, people start noticing you. Then you now be the person that, oh no, she's very creative. Oh, just tell her this and she'll just do something that will wow you. And that then gives you a creative edge over what people are doing now, because you may think, yes, everybody's into photography, but there'll still be 1,000 more photographers that will come into the field. but each one will come with their distinct things. So what is your own distinct thing that you would bring into the field when you start, or as you start?
Thank you so much, Moji. That was, I mean, you just covered everything that anyone would want to say to that topic. So my final question is for Sheon. So we have Nwasike Chineye saying, I'm a fashion designer and I always get good feedback from anyone I design for. So how do I get more customers that will pay my happy price? I think what she means by my happy price is a premium price. Yeah. So how do I get more customers that will pay that? Show your mute.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Okay, so I think you would have mentioned it at one point or the other during the training. And the easiest answer is positioning. You have to position your business in a way that your customer will find you. The customer that will pay your happy price will find you. So if everyone is using dancing, like all these hair vendors, you see some of them dancing when they're selling hair. I'm not interested, you know, because I'm just looking for something. Um, so if you are positioning yourself as a premium brand, it means that everything that you do should show that you're a premium brand. So probably in the aesthetics, you want to, it has to be high quality. Where would the customer that is paying your happy price, where would you find them? You have to take that into consideration. So you probably will not find them buying on WhatsApp. So they'll probably be shopping maybe in high-end magazines, in all these posh magazines and so forth. So I think the first thing you should do is your ideal customer is it customer mapping or what they call it. So you should position yourself and go and do customer profiling. Profile that your customer. Where do they hang out? What do they like to do? Where do they shop? Um, what do they do in their spare time? What language do they speak? So the English that you'll be speaking to that person is not the type of English that I am speaking right now. So those are so I do customer profiling. Is it profiling or mapping? Yeah, I think one of the two. That is what you should do. I will use my business as an example. How we keep on putting out new products and new things to show you or to attract that particular customer that we are aiming for. There's this thing that we just put out now. It's we call it taste testers for mothers. So we know that Corona period is where a lot of mothers don't want to splurge. So we put out these little tiny pockets of food, baby food, and pegged it at at a reasonable price, not small, but it's as a reasonable price for that for the ideal customer that we are targeting. We know how much they have earmarked for food per month. And so you should know how much that particular customer has earmarked for fashion or for clothes at that point in time. So how do you get that money out of their pockets? You know, these are things that you should ask yourself. I'm not a wordsmith, but when it comes to writing, yes, but you should have an idea of what I'm saying. Do your customer profiling. I can send you things that you can read, to help you in that regard. When you answer questions like where did they hang out, how much did they earn, was all these things, and then you can come to a logical conclusion of how to reach out to them, how to talk to them, and where to find them. And then it will be like juju, because then you're eating them the right way at the right time, and you're speaking the right language. So it just now becomes like, how is she doing it? You know, because everything is ticking on their checkpoints, the right words, you are in the right place where they are winding, and it's the type of thing that they want, and it's presented in the way they want it. Maybe they pack the clothes in an envelope that's inside an envelope that is inside a shopping bag. That's, you know, just understand your customer, and then it becomes easy to sell to them.
Wow, I think we just need to stop here. This is, I mean, and I don't mince words when I say this has been a powerful session. filled with learnings. Thank you so much, Tuboson. Thank you so much, Moji. Thank you so much, Shion. It's been a delight. I couldn't have wanted, the final session to be any better. Yeah. Like I said, this I think is most impactful for our participants, and I'm super duper grateful. Thank you so much, ladies. Our dear
You're welcome.
participants, and so we've come to the end of the road. I don't want to keep you much for longer, so I think we'll continue the conversations on our WhatsApp chat. We have some nice goodies for you. We will send it out to you. For those who have qualified for the certificates, you would be getting your certificate. If you fill the final survey, you would be getting your certificates. If not, within the next 48 hours, you will be getting your certificate. Thank you so much, ladies. I have enjoyed every bit of this journey. And like I said, we can't end the journey here. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten so much. And so we would continue on the parent community. Activities on the community will start next week. So look out for that. I wouldn't want to end this without thanking my wonderful staff, who has been at the helm of affairs, managing everything, on supporting, in the running of this program. Pipe Komola, thank you for your support. To our wonderful volunteers, Adana is not here today, but Adana has always been at every session. She's always at the back, taking notes, ensuring that, all the things in the background, work perfectly. Thank you so much, Adana. I'm sure you'll be watching from YouTube. Thank you much. Thanks so much for all those participants who've also volunteered at some point or the other. There are too many to mention their names. Thank you for your support. And ladies, it's a wrap. Thank you and do enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well done, Shay. Bye.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Congratulations. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Did I hear a male voice? Do you have a mail in our midst?